No. It's a ghost town. It's a total ghost town. Someone just got murdered here as they were moving them out right back there.
Wow. When was this? Like in the summer? When was this?
Yes. 4th of July. Matter of fact, 4th of July. On the 4th of July. They found him stinking, stuff him in a dumpster. Sad. Sad. All my friends grew up over here. Now they put most of them in Bridgeport, some went to Hartford, the rest went to Waterbury, spread throughout Connecticut.
You said they. Who put them in? You said did people move them?
I guess the housing.
Sure.
They gave everyone Section 8, so they just spread them all out. It's sad, I don't want them to go down, but I think it's out of our hands right now.
Consistently poor management through a series of owners and operators that created living conditions that were not acceptable to us.
Well, Church's Top was built in 1965, and it was value engineered during the time that it was under construction. They used very inexpensive construction, single wall, brick, sort of split block kind of construction. The architecture maintained a lot of the ideas that they had in the grander plans. And it was no longer mixed income, it was all low income.
There were initial plans for that site developed by Mies van der Rohe, who is widely acknowledged to be a very influential modernist architect who started in Europe in the teens, 20s, and 30s and was associated with the Bauhaus and eventually came to Chicago, where he designed many important modernist buildings and is really part of that movement of bringing European modernism or the international style to the United States. And he worked on a range of projects for a range of different clients, including some of the most luxury residential or office towers in the United States. He was one of the designers on the Seagram's building in New York, and he designed some of the lakefront towers in Chicago that are sort of elite luxury environments. And he also worked on other interesting projects that would have been different economic models and even possibly public housing projects too. And so there are a few pictures of his planning for Church Street South, and in that area, and I don't really know how far along that project went or who was the imagined client for those projects.
Welcome to American Architecture Now. I am Barbara Lee Diamondstein, and with me today is the distinguished architect, Charles Moore. Famous for his whimsy, his exuberance, his work's lively color, as well as his colorful life. His houses and public buildings have been described as among the most important small-scale architectural works of the last decade. A warm welcome to you, Charles Moore. What do you think about the fact that these days almost everyone seems to agree with you?
I'm not sure that everybody agrees. Or maybe it is because I keep...
Whether or not Charles Moore's design was good design, poorly built, is one question, or whether it was the right design in the wrong place somehow, are all very interesting questions to consider. You know, when you look at the Mies drawings, it's much more stark in terms of a tower in a park, and Moore's design was in many ways a reaction against that kind of planning, that it would be better and more interesting to design low-rise 2- and 3-story garden apartments that created a sequence of interesting spaces. And yet the overall mechanism in some ways was the same, a kind of super block project that was clearly divorced from its surroundings and really didn't participate in the system of streets that made up the traditional neighborhoods and city spaces.
I wonder if a dense housing project is right for that site, or if we're not in fact going to repeat the mistake of the past. And I say it this way: it was always an isolated site. I mean, if you looked at it, there was the housing and there was the train. It's a triangle property, right? So there's a train station, the train lines, the main tracks, and the train station on one side. There's basically Route 34 with the printing plant, the office building of the old railroad building, Tower 1, Tower East over there. If you note it, and then across the street is increasingly the med school campus. Notice something about those properties. They all have fences around them. They all basically have defensive perimeters set up. There is no street grid here, right?